I I asked my daughter, I said, honey, because I was seeing who she was hanging around with. I was looking at her friends. And I said, hon, would you consider yourself a leader or a follower? And there were no negative connotations to being a follower. There's a lot of really good people that are followers, right? There's just what you're following is kind of the important part. But would you consider yourself a leader or a follower? And she thought a lot about it. And she's thinking and she's thinking, she goes, Dad, I think I'm a leader with no followers. Oh, forget that she said that. And I said, we had conversation from that. And that's what it's pretty profound if you think about it, that if you're an advisor right now and you're overseeing a large team, are you a leader with no followers? And how would you know the difference? And so beginning with the role and definition of what a leader is, it was Plato that said the beginning of wisdom is in the definition of term. So what is a leader in the eyes of those listeners right now? Is it merely someone that gets tasks accomplished, that is an overseer of all of the roles and responsibilities? Or is it that someone's excited to get behind and see the realization of a worthwhile, predetermined outcome to an advisor's business? That is kind of how I viewed it on the leadership way.
Oh, that's funny, first of all, with your daughter, and then very enlightening as a start. I said to an advisor, and I'm sure you can relate to this, because there are some advisors I've basically grown up with that I've known for going on 30 years, and I've seen them go through the progression of growing, teaming, scaling, and now thinking about their exit plan. And I just constantly remind them, and I'm also reminding myself, is just work on yourself, and all the information is available. I went on ChatGPT and I said, give me the top 10 books on leadership. And there they were. It's all there. It's all available. And then you can go into each one and say, give me a summary of the 5 salient points. And one of the first books that came up was Simon Sinek, The Importance of Why, or Begin with Why, I think it is. And I'm reminded of somebody who I know you respect, Jim Rohn. And he said, when the why is clear, the how pretty much takes care of itself. And it got me thinking that if you want someone as a follower to buy into your dream, you've got to buy into theirs. That's where it starts. It's not just compliance and, hoping for the best, but you've got to be interested in them. And that was such a powerful reminder about the two-way street of leadership.
In clearing the why, I was at a conference, and I know we talk about it a lot, but I'd never actually heard somebody who left a team because the why wasn't clear. And this was a team, they were speaking at an event. I won't mention the firm, one of the largest in the country, and this is one of the largest advisors in the country. And they said, what drove you to start your own team, to break away from this substantial team? And he says, I just wasn't clear on what it was we were trying to accomplish together. I lacked the meaning and purpose, and it became more monotonous, the activities, without understanding what the end goal was of what we were creating. And I was like, wow, that's a very large advisor who's left a team and a firm to start his own group because the why wasn't clear. And so there's a motivation factor to that then that must be under an undercurrent to productivity on your team, is when someone is, what's that story? I think you shared one time about the bricklayer, the 2 bricklayers. You remember that, where they were walked up to the one and they're like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm laying brick. And he was kind of had his head down, shrunk, and he looked exhausted. And the other one's smiling and stacking the bricks with enthusiasm. They're doing the exact same job. He asked the other guy, he says, what are you doing? He goes, I'm building a cathedral. And so once the why was clear, the everything underneath it performs better.